Task Force Z is the Red Hood in charge of an army of zombies. You didn't hear me wrong. These zombies are the dead bodies from Arkham Asylum when there was an explosion that killed everyone in Arkham Asylum. They became zombies and Red Hood is in charge of them. It's a lot cooler than it sounds. It was a dark night in Gotham as the Crazy Quilt runs for his life over the rooftops, screaming, "No! Get away from me! Don't eat me!" His pleas go silent, though, as Man-Bat shrieks, swooping down on him, mouth open, ready to bite. Crazy Quilt yells out, "No!" And he blasts a hole in Man-Bat's chest, sending the corpse of Man-Bat down to the streets below. Just as he thinks he's won, he's cracked in the head with a crowbar, and Red Hood tells him, "I'm gonna need you to step away from that ledge. I have a few questions." As Crazy Quilt is arguing that he will not go back to prison, Bane grabs him from behind, groaning. Crazy Quilt is shocked. "How? This isn't happening! You're supposed to be dead!" So Red Hood informs him, "If you don't answer my questions, Bane here is going to rip you in two. And that is only if Bane wants his little treat." Bane groans again, setting down Crazy Quilt, and Red Hood goes on telling him, "Okay, now let's talk about who you've been working for since you escaped from Arkham, what you're smuggling, and what the hell is up with your mustache." Man-Bat tries to swoop back in, and Red Hood just sighs, telling Bane to hold Man-Bat back. He turns radioing Central, telling them, "This is Field Leader. Target has been captured and needs a pickup. If you want him in one piece, you might want to hurry. I'm holding off the zombies." Later at Project Halperine headquarters, Red Hood stands in the decontamination shower, looking back asking, "Do you like to watch when people shower?" Dr. Shelley tells him that observation is part of her job, and if he's implying that she gets some sort of personal pleasure, she can assure him that she is more interested in the dead bodies. Besides, we need to make sure that you're clean since you've come in contact with Man-Bat's bodily fluids. The Lazarus resin that we use to keep the others operational shouldn't come in contact with living tissue. As Red Hood is pulling on his shirt, he tells her, "Right." And as he's leaving, he sees a peculiar woman sitting in one of the office rooms. He informs her that he doesn't think it's a good idea for her to be here, and she tells him that she is more than fine, but she appreciates his concern. He asks if they've met, and the woman tells him no, but she knows who he is. He may call her Ms. Hobart, or Hannah if he prefers. He tries to tell her that the area is for monsters, and after getting a little offended that he's not showing respect to a lady, she asks him, aren't those his teammates? He tells her that those are not his team, he's barely here on his own free will, and those people are barely alive. She tells him that while one might see a monster, another might see a soul struggling for redemption. Or does he believe that some souls are beyond redemption? Red Hood tells her that he has spent a lot more time thinking about that than most, and he thinks he knows the answer, but he really hopes that he is wrong. At that moment over the intercom, his handler, Crispin, tells him that he is needed elsewhere. Please leave Miss Hobart alone. They eventually make their way to the room where they're keeping Crazy Quilt, and they can see him through a two-way mirror chained up on the other side. They explain to Red Hood that they're not getting very much information from Crazy Quilt, and what ends up happening is they press a button allowing a hulking Arkham Knight to shuffle forward in her zombie state. Red Hood begins to panic, telling them to call off the Arkham Knight. She grabs a hold of Crazy Quilt's chains, opening up her mouth, and Red Hood begins to yell, "I will put down every monster in here and you if you don't stop this!" Crazy Quilt informs everyone that he'll talk. "Just get this thing away from me!" Crispin tells Red Hood, "See? It works. Dr. Shelley, please make sure that Arkham Knight is standing down." Shelley holds out a few pieces of Lazarus resin candy, and Arkham Knight suddenly stops what she's doing and begins to shuffle towards the glass. Crispin turns to Jason. "You want some advice? The sooner you stop thinking yourself as the brave hero in some fairy tale surrounded by evil monsters, the sooner you'll realize that this isn't that kind of story at all. We're all monsters here, but that doesn't mean we can't put them to good use. Now go suit up into the Red Hood outfit. You're going back out." Later, as Red Hood and his team arrive at their next location, Bloom steps out, stating, "I just want to clarify, I'm not dead. This is allowing me to help rehabilitate myself in the eyes of the..." But Red Hood tells him, "I don't care, we have a job to do, and that is to find out what these people are smuggling." The group sneaks into the warehouse, and as Bloom looks through the crates, he tells them, "This is curious. It is rather ironic to find the very drug that powers your undead teammates here, isn't it? The Lazarus resin? Unless..." At that moment, Mr. Freeze shouts, "What are you doing here? Are you here to steal from me?" He charges in with his men, but Red Hood grabs one of his crowbars, telling Task Force Z, "Take him down, and don't eat any of them." But as Freeze blasts Bane with his ice blast, the undead kind of hunt and kill on their own, and Red Hood tells him, "No! We have to work as a team! Stop being zombies! Man-Bat then looks at Freeze lunging at him, but Freeze hits him with an ice blast. Man-Bat crashes to the ground, and then Freeze grabs Man-Bat's head, ripping it off of his frozen body, throwing it. The frozen head then hits Bane's frozen body, breaking that into 100 pieces. Bloom turns to Red Hood. This is going terribly. And Red Hood tells him, yeah, get out of here or do something. So Bloom tells him that his abilities are greatly reduced with this power inhibitor that they've placed on him. Red Hood groans, telling Arkham Knight to go after Freeze, but as she turns, Freeze blasts her legs in place, freezing her there. Red Hood then yells, fine! And he begins to charge forward, leaping into the air, cracking Freeze's helmet with his crowbar. Freeze knocks him away and then walks over to Red Hood. And he can hear him whispering something. Speak up, boy! I was saying, get closer and I'll... Using his crowbar, Red Hood slams it into the shelves above him, causing the boxes to topple over and land directly on Freeze. You stupid boy. Do you realize what this means with my suit cracked? The gas can be no longer contained. Congratulations on killing us both. How bad could it be? And that's when Freeze's suit explodes with a giant ice blast, freezing Red Hood right there. As he tries to move, he can feel his limbs slowing down and weakening. As he manages to get his helmet off, he calls out to Bloom, asking, are you there, or are you two frozen? Suddenly, he hears something clicking, and when he looks over, he sees Arkham Knight crawling towards him, ready to eat. Of course this is how it ends! Before long, there's the loud whumping sound of the Arkham Knight's hands digging into the snow, and they begin to get louder and louder. Red Hood calls out to Bloom, asking if he's there, and with no answer from Mr. Bloom, Crispin radios in, asking what's going on. Red Hood yells, I need support on my position! But Crispin tells him that there is no support. He is with all of the operational agents. What is happening? Bane and Man-Bat are deader. Bloom took off. I'm frozen solid and Arkham Knight is about to eat me. Alright, you need to deal with Miss Arkham and go find Bloom, but make sure not to damage her brain. Red Hood manages to reach for his crowbar, shocking the Arkham Knight for a moment when he hears someone call to her. Bloom calls out. Bloom hasn't left. Please do not eat our leader. I have something better for you here. Bloom begins to throw out all of the Lazarus resin pills that they just found, and the second that the Arkham Knight sees them, she leaves Red Hood alone, crawling towards them. With Arkham Knight distracted, Bloom helps Red Hood out, or at least stands him up, and Red Hood asks where did Freeze go. Bloom tells him that Freeze got away. So what they should do is collect the pieces of their teammates and return to HQ. While waiting for extraction, the Arkham Knight, covered in Lazarus resin, calls out asking, what the hell just happened? And where are my legs? Later, back at the chop shop, Red Hood takes his decontamination shower, telling Crispin that there's no way that this can continue. What happened back there was a mess. As Red Hood reports to the lab, Crispin tells him that mistakes were made and they are being addressed. And that's why he is here. He has come to believe in the concept of redemption, not just his own, but his team. Red Hood asks, how is that possible when half of the team is dead? Again. As the doors slide open, he sees Dr. Shelley working on a completed Man-Bat, and Bane and Crispin tell him that he should know better than that. Dr. Shelley begins to get ready to stick Red Hood with a needle, but he grabs her arm, taking the needle. Wait, what are you doing? She informs him that it's going to heal him, so he smashes the syringe, telling her to never come near him with that again. As he's fighting with her, she informs him that he is a part of the experiment as well. But before anything else could come out of that, an individual begins to pass by him, and that's when he sees that it's Arkham Knight. Partially healed, partially recovered, but still slightly disfigured. She informs him that she can't promise that it won't happen again, but she will try her hardest. Jason asks, how is she okay? How is she recovering? And she informs him that the amount of Lazarus resin that it took to restore her legs also restored much of her vitality. It'll wear off though, so she's enjoying walking around with what time she has. And now that we've established that Jason is a part of the experiment and there is hope for our inmates, the Task Force Z is sent out on their next mission. They all head out on their next mission with the addition of Hannah Hobart. They all begin to walk into a theater with Hannah asking if this is where they're meeting their new teammate. And Red Hood informs her she is not on the team. As a matter of fact, who are they meeting? Crispin tells him he thought it would be a nice surprise. And as Red Hood opens up the doors, he sees the Cobra cult risen from the dead. Hannah begins to whisper that perhaps they should leave, but Man-Bat screeches, lunging at the followers. Bloom leans over Red Hood, telling him, I'm pretty sure we've been seen. Red Hood tells everyone to take them down, and a higher Lazarus resin-dosed Bane looks at everyone, now kind of competent. Is that the whole place? And Red Hood tells him, yeah, until someone comes up with a better plan. Bane leaps in, ripping the followers apart, telling them, "Stand and fight like men!" But as he speaks, his voice begins to digress as he begins to become more and more like a zombie again. He stomps on one of the men, but with using too much force, he rips the floor apart, tearing open a giant hole. More of the followers begin to surround Red Hood and the Arkham Knight, and Hannah yells out, "Turn on the lights!" Red Hood says there are too many in the way unless... Sorry about this. He takes out his crowbar, charging into them, slamming them into the pool of blood at his feet, electrocuting all of the followers and the Arkham Knight. He runs over to the lights, turning them back on. I hope it was worth it. And the second that he does, Hannah begins to transform into a grotesque, undead-looking monster. As she flies around, slaughtering more of the followers, Red Hood is surprised. What the hell? And Arkham Knight says, "Did you not know, Jason? Hannah has lived in Arkham since before I was born. Hannah checked herself in decades ago before even my father was there. The monster keeps her from aging. It lives in the darkness and Hannah lives in the light. Too much of either one of those, and one of them takes control." As the last follower is killed, Arkham Knight says that they need to turn the lights on now. So Red Hood flips on the switch and the creature yells, "No!" as it turns back into Hannah. As Red Hood goes to help her up, Bloom calls out that they may have found their man, and everyone looks back to the coffin with the body of Deadshot in it. Red Hood radios back that they found the target. However, before he gets back to the base, they're going to have a little talk. They have a major problem, and it's... But before he could finish, there's a gunshot, and Red Hood falls to the ground. Crispin radios over, asking him to say that again. The signal is breaking up. "Did you find the new teammate?" And everyone looks back to see Deadshot sitting up in the coffin, holding the smoking gun that just shot Red Hood. Lightning strikes over Project Halperin headquarters as Dr. Shelley and her sister try stitching Red Hood up after being shot while trying to recover the dead body of Deadshot by the undead Deadshot himself. Dr. Shelley's sister, Amelia, says that they're losing him, Delia. Delia asks, does she think that is not apparent? But after Jason flatlines on the monitors, Amelia says, "Welp, Red Hood's dead." And Hannah yells, asking, are they just going to give up on him like that? Amelia says of course not, and Delia injects Jason with the Lazarus resin directly into his brain. He gasps, sitting up. "What the hell happened? Deadshot shot me! You didn't use that crap on me, did you?" Delia doesn't hide the empty syringe, telling him nope, sure didn't. But then Jason stops, looking around asking, "Are there two of you?" Delia says that he should get some rest. Dying does take a lot out of you. And Jason does just that until he hears somebody quietly sneaking into his room. As the figure gets closer, Jason spins back, slamming one of his IV needles into the man, asking, "Did you come to eat me or finish the job?" A withered Deadshot asks him, "Eat you? No. Is that something I might do?" Jason tells him, yeah. And Deadshot tells him, "I wanted to come by and say that I was sorry and wanted to see how things were, but really I had a question. What the hell is happening to me?" Jason tells him that it's a product called the Lazarus resin. It brings the dead back to life. Well, when you get a full dose, that is. Project Halperin gives just a minimum amount to reanimate people, promising the full amount and freedom after doing work for a man named Crispin. Deadshot asks, "Is this the Suicide Squad? Am I back on the Suicide Squad?" Jason tells him, well, you don't have bombs in your necks. Deadshot says that they saved his life just to do this to him. This Crispin makes Waller sound like a saint. He is going to go before he gets hungry. But a short while later, Jason gets dressed and gets ready to head back to his bunk when he notices the front gate just seemingly is left open and Hannah is standing outside. He asks what she's doing outside. Shouldn't she not be in the public when it's nighttime? And Hannah tells him that things will be fine as long as they stay in the light. Don't worry. There is something that she must do. Come. After a short walk, Hannah holds out her hands, telling him that they're here. And Jason asks, what does a pizza place have to do with anything? Hannah tells him obviously he's not tried their vodka slice. While she orders, Jason says that he wants to know why she is here, and Hannah tells him that she already told him the vodka slice. Ha, just kidding. I'm dying. Well, not me exactly, it is dying, and I didn't even know it could get hurt, but when Arkham was attacked, it was. Jason asks, isn't that a good thing? And Hannah says, is it? Did you know that I'm old enough to be your grandmother? The monster inside of me, the Sundowner, it hasn't let me age in years. It's kept me alive, and I used to wish it didn't. But now that my wish is coming true, I'm terrified. So when Christmas said he had a way to save it, she jumped at the chance. Jason says the thing is, though, it isn't her. She laughs, telling him that they both have spent time among people who have broken parts and they wish to be separate from. But just because they want it true doesn't make it so. They are the sum of their parts, all of them. And what brings them into their little band of monsters anyway? Jason says that he has a growing sense that this isn't working anymore. He used to use words like justice to guide his hand, or his anger. The truth is that he used to follow someone else's lead, but he lost that a long time ago. And maybe he should give up on it. But since then, he's been lost, and that's when Crispin appeared. Hannah asks if this is giving him purpose, leading Task Force Z. Is that the answer? And Jason tells her that it's an answer. Hannah then asks what is it that's bothering him, the cruelty of it all, withholding the drugs, forcing them to risk their lives for someone else's cause? Jason tells her, no, I'm pretty okay with all of that. I spent my life seeing what these monsters can do. Forcing them to make amends doesn't bother me. It's Bane. He killed someone close to me, and seeing him walk around like nothing happened, like he hasn't killed people with friends, with families, what gives him the right? Hannah reaches over, telling him that maybe it's possible that he can't forgive himself because he doesn't feel worthy of forgiveness. Forgive Bane and he'll realize that he can forgive himself. Jason finishes his slice. All right, field trip is over, we should head back. But as they return, Delia asks if they had fun on their little jailbreak. Jason tells her yes. She tells him good because Crispin wants him in the comms room and he is not amused. Jason heads into the dark room and the shadowy Crispin appears on the screen asking how was his little jailbreak. Jason tells him fine, burnt his mouth, and that one of his scientists already used that line. Crispin quietly says, damn it. Well, since you're good enough to walk around, we have your next mission lined up. After arguing about the use of the resin and what they're doing to these criminals, Jason sets out new rules. They're gonna give his team more of the resin. They can't be controlled in the zombie state. Meanwhile, in the next room, Delia and Hannah watch from a small screen as Delia says that she did a good job. Jason is reinvested in the project, and Hannah tells her thank you. Later, at the top of the GNN tower, the Cobra cult is loading a helicopter with crates. As one man yells that they need to hurry, they can't have any entanglements like last time. Jason steps out of the helicopter telling him, hey, what were you just talking about? Task Force Z, deploy! The undead team gets to work slaughtering all of the Cobra cult when suddenly everyone begins to vomit blood. Jason states that he didn't expect everyone to get so squeamish, but Hannah says that there's something poisoning the undead. As all of the Task Force Z members fall to the ground, Cheshire jumps from the shadows, stating that she wants it known that the poison that she used was a contact type that was covering all of the cult. Jason blocks her attack, asking, did you poison your own men just to get to us? Cheshire says that they weren't her men, she borrowed them. And yes, she manages to cut into Jason's side, infecting him with the poison, and Jason kicks her in the head to give himself some distance. He scrambles to try and get the Lazarus resin pills, but before he could take any of them, Cheshire kicks him again, telling him, I can't have mommy's little helpers undoing my work. Too bad you didn't take any of those pills, huh? Jason coughs, inching his way at the pills. Weren't for me. Suddenly, Bane looms over, punching Cheshire into the ground while Jason takes a pill. Before Bane could continue, Jason tells him to stop. We can't interrogate a puddle. I am sorry, Bane tells him. But I did want to say thank you. Crispin said that you were the one who requested that they increase the dosage. For the first time since my death, I remember what it feels like to be alive. Jason stops. Is that really you in there? Like, you have all your memories and such? Bits and pieces, yes. It's getting there. Jason tells him good, and he cracks him in the back. As Bane falls off the edge of the building, Jason asks, do you know why this is happening? Bane tells him, yes. Say it! Alfred Pennyworth. Jason kicks him over the edge, and watching Bane fall, Jason puts on his mask, radioing back that the objective is secure. The team is incapacitated and needs transport, and Bane is gone. A few hours later, at Crispin's home, he gets a call from a panicked Delia and Crispin asking, what is it, Amelia? And Delia says Delia, and she's sorry to bother, but they have a problem. Jason is gone. Crispin tells her to bring him back. They all ready, but Delia says no, he's gone, as in not here. As they begin to wonder what happened to him, Jason steps out of the shadows stating, I can help you with that, Crispin, or should I say, Two-Face. And Delia says that she thinks she may have found Jason. With the sudden reveal of Two-Face being Crispin, Two-Face says to him, I was waiting to have this conversation for a while. No, you weren't.
That's why you were hiding away here, keeping us all locked in the lab, cameras, code names, all of it. You didn't think that this would happen. Two-Face looks at him. This is my home. It's not an escape. I'm not a prisoner. I'm a wanted criminal. And they've secured me with a limited amount of leeway here. Jason leans in. So you aren't worried about you being killed? Two-Face tells him, not even a little. You don't even do that anymore, Red Hood. Jason looks at him again. That's a pretty big gamble. But Two-Face reaches for his draw, telling him, I don't gamble anymore. I spent lives living my life at the toss of a coin. Trusting him is... Jason cracks Two-Face in the chest with an electrically charged crowbar, telling him, you've been out of the game too long if that was supposed to work. Two-Face yells that he was going to offer him a drink while they talked. We're supposed to work together, Jason. We need to find out why you're not happy. Meanwhile, at the chop shop, Amelia checks in on Man-Bat one last time for the night, stating that she's going to go now. Good night, my sweet boy. As she leaves the lab, Bloom sneaks in and slams a needle into Man-Bat's neck. He falls to the ground as his skin begins to melt, yelling, What is happening to me? Bloom says that he has been his other for some time, though it might be a nice change being his old self for bits. Man-Bat asks, what is this place? Well, you are a prisoner in an underground medical lab and being experimented on and forced to serve as a paramilitary task force that only goes on suicide missions. Oh, and you're a dead zombie. Man-Bat asks, did you come to help? No, not really. I'm here because we're going to help each other. Now shh, someone's coming. The door opens up and Deadshot walks in asking, what the hell is this? Bloom tells him that this is their esteemed colleague, Man-Bat in his man form. His real name is Carl, is it? Deadshot looks at him, great. What the hell are you doing? Actually, you know what? I'd rather not. I'm looking for Jason and you two are creeping me the hell out. After Bloom forcibly puts Man-Bat into a deal, he then slams him with another needle to change him back into his bat form before the resurrection women come back. Back at Two-Face's home, Jason asks how is he supposed to trust him that they're working for the government, and Two-Face reaches into his drawer telling him, please, don't shock me again, and pulls out a signed piece of paper. Jason looks at it stating that it could be fake, but Two-Face tells him, what would my master plan then be? Trick you into stopping dangerous criminals and getting chemical weapons off the street? Ooh, so diabolical, Jason. Jason tells him, so this is a legit government organization? Yes, more or less. Two-Face tells him, less being that it is provisional. We're working towards a contract operating on a temporary authorization under the Federal Task Force, actually. So pretty much an audition. Jason yells, what is the play here? And Two-Face yells it back, I want to help people. I was the damn DA for a while. My sense of civic duty didn't come from a need for parental acceptance or revenge. Jason says that he's always done what is right and this is right. They go back and forth for a minute, with Two-Face admitting that he wasn't well, but he wants to make amends for the things that he's done. When asked why they got Jason, Two-Face tells him that it was all to try and help him. He was in a place where he needed help and he didn't even know it. They decide to make a temporary truce, and Jason leaves stating he'll see what happens with this. A short while later, Two-Face returns to Project Halperin, but as he gets out, Amelia says they have a big problem. He begins to walk up the steps asking, what is it now? If Jason is, but Amanda Waller says that she believes that she is the big problem the clone girl is referring to. Oh, hello, what brings you here, Waller? Waller says that he's not returning her calls and it's a good way to have her show up. His little science project is interesting, but stealing her Task Force X idea and twisting it like this with zombies is morally reprehensible, which shouldn't surprise her considering the source. Two-Face yells, is this a joke? And Waller asks if he's sure he wants to raise his voice at her right now. Effective immediately, your program is shut down. I will have a cleanup crew here in the morning to confiscate all of your unlicensed assets, including Mr. Todd and the corpses. Two-Face asks, what are they going to do then? And Waller says, get in her car because she doesn't really give a damn what they're going to do. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Jason leads Task Force X into a lab, and as they look around, they notice a lot of things here look rather similar to their lab, but a lot nicer. At that moment, a scientist steps out with an army of undead soldiers asking who the hell are they. Jason tells the man that he knows why they're there, and the scientist says, no, I really don't. He looks over asking, you captured Bloom? This is amazing. Thank you for bringing him back to us. Jason is also confused. Back? And the scientist says that Dr. Shelley is going to be so, but Bloom punches the man to the ground and Jason asks, what the hell are you doing? What is going on? Where are we? Arkham Knight slices through one of the guards and Jason says, perfect. And she says, thank you. And Jason tells her, I was being sarcastic, Knight. But seeing no other choice but to fight, the team takes down the undead guards, and Jason goes back to Bloom, asking, what did he mean by bringing you back? Do you know where we are? Have you been here before? Bloom says that he has no idea. Perhaps, and this is just a theory, perhaps sometimes mad scientists are in fact a little mentally unwell. But just then Arkham Knight is shot by a woman who looks like Delia. She says that she can tell them what Dr. Anton meant, but first she'd like them to tell her, who the hell are you? Jason puts his hands up as more guards come running in, and he asks her, what is Amelia or Delia doing here? The woman says, fine, since you want to be stupid, I'll go first. She lights a cigarette. I'm afraid that both of my sisters passed away some time ago. My name is Celica, and you are all under arrest for breaking and entering and trespassing and, well, apparently murder now. Wait, you're the freaks that have been stealing our shipments. Celica then radios in the director stating that they have a problem. They're in position, but there's another team here. The woman on the line asks what team, and Celica says, well, a guy who looks like Red Hood, a dead guy dressed like a knight, a bat monster, Deadshot's corpse, and the skeleton from the Singing Christmas movie, and a librarian. The woman says, freaking Dent! Clean it up. Suddenly another team, pretty much Red Hood's exact counterparts to his team, step out. The masked man says, you all heard her, nobody gets out alive. Red Hood turns, what the hell is this? And Celia yells to call off the goons, but Beast tells them both that he's sorry if he wasn't clear enough for them. I am here for all of you. Red Hood looks right at him. Look, everyone needs to remain calm. We can all walk out of here. But no sooner than he can finish that sentence, Man-Bat crushes the head of one of Celia's guards. Red Hood tries to tell Man-Bat to stop, but KG Beast tells him, finally, I was wondering when the fun would begin. An all-out brawl begins between the three groups, fists beginning to fly with Dr. Celia trying to make her escape. She manages to hide behind some lockers when Bloom asks her if she is also looking for a hiding spot. Not the most inspired leadership that I have ever seen. Now, they both know that her Powers International Security Detail is about to literally be devoured by either of the two groups of literal monsters. But if she could remove his power-dampening collar, she asks, are you out of your diseased mind? Why would I trust you? At that moment, one of the guards' heads is tossed by her feet, and Bloom tells her, we are on the same side, the ones who want to keep their heads. But back out in the lab, KG Beast's team of monsters quickly begins to take over Red Hood's team of monsters, leaving him as the sole survivor of the fight for his side. Red Hood looks him up and down. Look, it's gonna take a lot more than that to bring me down. What will it take for me to get my team out of here so that we can finish our mission? Solomon Grundy punches Red Hood with KG Beast, telling him, there seems to be a misunderstanding. Finishing your team is my mission. Later, back at the headquarters of Powers International, Jerry Powers answers her phone yelling that she doesn't care. Find Dr. Shelley. She can't have this getting out. She's pretty sure that his career can't handle another freaking crap storm from the press. She hangs up the phone stating that she swears it's something every day. But off in the shadows, Mr. Bloom walks out, telling them that it's so hard to find good help these days, isn't it? From what I understand, you're on the market for a new scientist. And it's a little bit later that Red Hood wakes up to find himself chained to a pipe. What the hell is going on? KG Beast flips on the monitor and Amanda Waller appears, telling Red Hood that she expected better of him. But they both know that he's running a team of flesh-eating monsters for Two-Face. And that's a step up for the Red Hood. He shouts, asking, we're working for the same people! You just can't stand someone else playing your little games and threatening your little power plays. Waller tells Beast to give their friend a headache, and KG Beast cracks Red Hood across the jaw. She says that she's going to correct him on a few things. First off, she doesn't care about power. She's leaving for good. Just cleaning up a couple of pieces of Gotham is just her parting gift. Secondly, she never screwed up. And finally, he won't be getting out of here. KG Beast finished things with Red Hood. Hanging beside him, Deadshot begins to yell, leave him alone! And he begins to tear his arm off of his wrist. KG Beast aims, taking his shot, and Deadshot jumps in the way, and Waller yells, damn it! I wanted Lawton recovered! Just finish Red Hood and burn the site down. Make sure to get everything to the labs. And once the monitor turns off, Beast slams his knife into Red Hood's side. Waller's just playing you, Beast! No, it is you who is being played. Where is your employer now? Where is the good Harvey Dent to come and save you?
And at that moment, joined by the undead Bane and Freeze, Harvey Dent flips his coin.
Funny you should ask.
Red Hood begins to laugh, asking,
Do you think you can just kill me before you deal with them?
Beast turns around, throwing his knife into Bane's head.
No, after. Is this supposed to be your rescue party? 2 corpses and a manic depressive. I was hoping for the Bat or someone actually scary.
While KG Beast is focusing on shooting at Harvey Dent, Red Hood swings on his chains, wrapping his legs around Beast's neck. This gives Bane enough time to get back up and grab Beast by the legs, slamming him into the wall.
That's enough! We need him alive!
And as Bane is squeezing KG Beast's neck a little bit more, he lets go.
No, we didn't.
Beast begins to laugh, and Red Hood asks, "What is?" And as Beast reaches for the switch on his belt, Red Hood tells Freeze to put an ice shield up now! Once the dust settles from the Beast's bomb, Dent tells Bane that he doesn't care. Get him out. As Bane lifts the debris that landed on Red Hood, Dent goes on telling them that that was quick thinking with Freeze. That's why he's team leader. They should probably get moving before anyone else shows up. Bane then goes to pick up KG Beast's body, with Red Hood asking, "Why are we taking him?" And Dent says, "Because he belongs to them now." Red Hood looks around, asking what about everyone else, and Dent tells him that this is it. Deadshot's brain was destroyed. They can't find Sundowner or Man-Bat's head, and who the hell knows where Bloom went. Once everyone is loaded up, Red Hood shouts that once they get back to the chop shop, they're going to have a nice, long talk. And Dent tells him, yes, you're welcome for saving your life, by the way. As Bane looks out the back window, he says that they're about to have a problem, and Dent looks in the rearview mirror, seeing the Batmobile.
Well, how do we handle Batman? Should we pull over and talk? How do we lose him?
Bane says that they should just throw KG Beast's body at him, and Red Hood tells him, no, I'll deal with it. He jumps out of the back of the van and onto Batman's car, telling him to pull over. Batman tells Red Hood, no. Red Hood begins to pry his way in, with Batman stepping on the brakes, flinging Red Hood off.
All right, have it your way.
After bouncing down the road, Red Hood picks himself back up, but Batman steps on his back.
Stay down and listen. I didn't come here to fight, but I did come here to stop you. You're following some bad men down a very bad path.
Red Hood swings at him.
It's my path to walk.
And Batman deflects it.
Not in my city, it's not.
The two go back and forth, exchanging punches and kicks, with Red Hood asking,
why can't you just trust me? If there's no hope for my team, then there's no hope for me. So the choice is yours. Fight us, and if you win, take us all to Arkham or Blackgate. But it's all of us. Otherwise, we have something we need to stop, Batman. Something bad that will hurt a lot of people. This is me asking, the man who raised me, who cares about what's right, will you just get the hell out of the way?
Batman reluctantly agrees, letting Red Hood and the others go. But once they get back to the lab, they find it destroyed and in ruins. Dent asks what the hell happened, and Red Hood says, who even knew we were here? But before he could finish, there's a banging from the freezer, and when Red Hood opens it, Dahlia and Amelia yell that it's about time that they found him. It's almost been an hour. Red Hood asks who did this, and the twins tell him, who do you think? Bloom! And he had a small army with him. They're working for Powers International. Dent looks at the situation.
Great. How long will it take to get everything back up and running? We need to get both of these two into the infusion of resin and sort KG Beast out.
Dahlia storms off asking how long, and Amelia asks, did you think that Bloom came for a prank? We're out of resin. Our only option is to maybe use Fishman. Bloom took his head, but we still might be able to get some residual resin out of his tissue. It'll be weak, but it'll buy us a few days with the corpses. Dent shouts, we're screwed! Our team is dead. We're out of resin and our lab is trashed. Maybe we can talk to O'Connor. He might be able to. Dahlia returns dragging a body, asking, do you mean him? Bloom brought him by as well, right before he broke his spine. He said, I've been loyal ever since you hired me. So I wasn't sure how much he'd have helped. When he was alive, that is. Without any real other options, Dent turns to the only person that can vouch for them other than the terrorists, Amanda Waller. Except Waller made good on her word and left her office empty.
Is this whole operation screwed now? Is Task Force Z dead? Dent demands to know as Red Hood is looking at the wall of photos of Task Force Z. Almost. Waller knew before we did. But at least now we got confirmation, which means we know what our next mission is. We've been played, and now it's our turn. It's time to kill Mr. Bloom. After waking up his newly assembled team with whatever resin they had left to revive the corpses, Red Hood stares at Zombie Bane, KG Beast, and Mr. Freeze, when Bane's hand just falls off. Red Hood asks if it's normal, and Amelia tells him that they can fix it, but the resin that they were able to synthesize from the Fishman will only buy them some time. But they're going to eventually need the real stuff if they're going to keep operating. What if Bloom is really working for Powers International? We're going to be going up against an army of zombies. And Dent asks, what do we do then? And Red Hood tells him, yeah, we're gonna need our own army, and with Waller out of the picture, why not take some of her team? So after acquiring and killing all of KGB's squad, Red Hood has a bit more dead people at his disposal. But without proper resin, they're all just going to end up as shuffling corpses with no minds. But while making more synthetic resin back in the lab, Amelia and Dahlia get an unexpected guest, Mr. Freeze. Freeze looks at the packages. Is this enough to bring one back from the dead momentarily? And Amelia tells him that this is enough to bring someone back permanently, but they're gonna need to split it amongst the team. Meanwhile, back over at Powers International, there's a commotion at the reception desk when Jerry steps out of the elevator stating that there better be a good reason why she's here. While all of her security is pointing their guns at him, Dent is flipping his coin. Good afternoon. I appreciate you seeing me on such short notice. Now we can go back and forth over a few things, but I'm gonna cut to the chase. Bloom is working for you. Hand him over and stay the hell out of the supervillain business. She looks him down very confidently. And Dent goes on, or I'll give a signal to my team of undead monsters that I have waiting in a van parked in your underground garage to come and eat an awful lot of your staff. When the feds come to clean up the mess and find these monsters are made with the product that you're developing right here, well, you'll learn like most Americans, the feds don't see much of a clear line between CEO and supervillain. I'll give you 24 hours to think over this offer, Miss Powers. After that, we go to war. After leaving Powers International, he heads back to the chop shop, telling them that it was a total failure. But he at least knew it would be. Why is everyone looking like someone died? And Red Hood says that they have a problem. Bane and KG Beast have dropped dead, but that really isn't the big problem. Freeze took it. Dent asks, took what? And Dahlia tells him that Freeze took it into his body. So they get robbed again. Freeze took all of the resin. He's alive again, and we're screwed again. Dent begins to realize what just happened. He just told the head of one of the least scrupulous corporations in the world that he was going to send an army that he doesn't have anymore since Mr. Freeze took the last of the resin to bring himself back to life. And Red Hood sighs. Actually, I might know a location where we can get more resin, but the guy that it gave it to, he's not going to want to give it back. Later, there's a sudden crash as an armored truck plows into a semi, and Dent, Solomon Grundy, and Lady Crow jump out of the back as Dent is radioing that they've begun. How are things looking? Across town, Red Hood waits. Almost ready, and now! Directly below him, Batman speeds out of the new Batcave, with Red Hood stating that they're going to have to hold out for a bit. But seeing as it's Batman coming, they won't have to wait long. Red Hood then sneaks into the cave, but before he can get anywhere, Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, asks, "What are you doing? You turned off all the comms and refused to pull out when Batman told you that the mission was over?" Red Hood grabs one of the muffins on the desk. "I was working undercover and cleaning up a mess." Barbara asks what is the real reason that he's here in the Batcave. "I was grabbing another communicator. I sort of broke mine when I was mad at Bruce. I'm really in deep here and I just want to know that I can reach out if I need to." She sighs. "Fine, I'll get you one. It'll be our little secret, okay?" As she leaves, Red Hood opens up one of the containers. "Sure, thank you." And after grabbing the resin, he rushes back out of the cave, but Nightwing stops him. "What are you doing, Jason?" Red Hood tells him that he's a little busy, and Dent yells over the radio asking, "Can you hurry things up? Batman just arrived and I'm not particularly in the mood of getting myself and the others beaten to a pulp by him." Nightwing jumps off the ledge. "Look, whatever's going on,
We can go back in the cave and clear it all up, Jason. Red Hood asks, how about you just let me walk away and trust that I'm doing what needs to be done? Nightwing stares him up and down. No. So Red Hood punches him. Yeah, I didn't think so. Nightwing spins back, kicking Red Hood to the ground, and as he looks up, he sees Tim, and Tim tells him, don't get back up. Red Hood jumps to his feet. I'm not scared of either one of you. But that's when Orphan steps out of the shadows. It's at that moment that Red Hood realizes that he is now about to fight Nightwing, Tim Drake, and Orphan, and realizes that this isn't a good idea. The three rush in, kicking Red Hood back, and he flies into a passing woman, knocking her to the ground. Everyone hurries over to help the woman up, and Red Hood says, kids these days, right? Once he gets clear of all of them, he kicks Tim away, but Orphan quickly sweeps his feet out from underneath him. He looks around, seeing Orphan standing in water, and shocks the puddle, sending electricity into her, stunning her momentarily. Tim then closes in. Look, we can all figure this out but Red Hood swings his crowbar, hitting Tim in the face. You broke my damn nose, Jason! Back across the town, Harvey Dent is telling the others that they don't have time. They have to lead now. But as Solomon Grundy jumps into the back of the armored truck, Amelia pulls off Lady Crow's mask, stating that was tough. Can't wait to get out of this dead woman's clothes and take a shower. Batman begins to pursue after them, asking Nightwing how things are going in his end. Have you taken Red Hood into custody yet? Nightwing tells him not yet. He's putting up one heck of a fight. Whatever is happening, this was just a distraction. He isn't trying to get away. Batman tells him, no, he's better than that. He's up to something. End it now. As Nightwing ends the call, he jumps in, immediately getting cracked by one of Red Hood's crowbars. But before he could fall in the way of a passing train, Red Hood grabs him. Can't have you die here. Everyone would be mad at me for weeks if you die. And Nightwing tells him, right, you remember that cheap shot earlier? Now it's my turn. He hits Red Hood so hard that his helmet flies off. Everyone surrounds Red Hood, and Nightwing tells him to give back the Lazarus resin that he took. And Red Hood tells him, yeah, about that. Orphan says that Jason has been trying to keep them off balance this whole time. He knows them all too well, playing for sympathy, taunting them, all of it. He's trying to distract them. Nightwing asks, from what? And Orphan tells him the woman. He was working with the woman with the groceries. He gave her the resin. Red Hood laughs. That is why Orphan is the one that you should all be afraid of. Nightwing leaves to report, and Tim shouts, I can't believe my nose is broken for a distraction. And Red Hood tells him, I can't believe that you can't guard against a slow overhand right. Besides, what's a few broken bones between brothers? Nightwing comes back and tells him that he just spoke to Batman. They assume whoever he gave the resin to is back at their little base. His plan was clever, but failed. Batman will be there at any second. So back over at the chop shop, Batman quietly sneaks in when he sees a note. Hi Batman, sorry we missed you. Love, Task Force Z. Batman radios back with his finds, and Nightwing asks, are you serious? Tim and Orphan ask what did he say, and Nightwing says that they need to bring Jason in, and they all turn around to find that Red Hood is gone and missing. Nightwing yells out, are you kidding me? After getting his butt kicked by many members of the Bat family and ultimately tricking them and stealing the highly experimental drug, he gets a call from an unexpected friend. He heads out to abandoned train tracks that pass through the city, asking her if it's a trick. Spoiler holds out a coffee, telling him no, it's coffee. It sounded like Nightwing and them were giving him a rough night, so she wanted to find him and bring him some coffee. Jason takes it. That's really nice, but how did you find me? She looks at some of the bruising and states that the others are so busy yelling at each other over their radios that they didn't bother to see him when he was talking to somebody else on his. You really need better encryption and maybe a few stitches. But as Spoiler gets close, Madame Crow and KG Beast yell to get away from Jason. Jason turns back, telling them that it's okay. She came as a friend, and Spoiler says that that's sweet. But no, she didn't. She needs to leave. So he didn't hear it from her, but Powers International is doing something weird at the old Snyder rink in Bloodhaven. With that out of the way, she really came by to warn him. He's messing up, more than he understands. These people care about him, but he's pushing that to its limits. He has to end this now, or his history with the Bat family won't matter. As she leaves, Jason asks, do you think I'm not trying? Then you have to try harder, Jason. You're better than this. Later, as Jason heads to that ice rink, he finds Powers security guards stationed there, and really nothing else. Victor Zsasz slices up one of the guards as Jason yells, no! I said no more killing!
And Zaz tells him, "Oh, I forgot." Jason tells everyone to stay close and look sharp. They've cleared out all of Power's security guards, but something is wrong. This is starting to feel like a trap. Copperhead says that he sees something over there, but as the team checks, it's Hannah Hobart, dead. Jason says that this is definitely planted for them to find. They need to leave, but before he could finish the sentence, the lights go out and Sundowner is released. As Sundowner begins to rip into anyone that she can, Harvey Dent asks, "What is going on?" And Jason says that it was a trap. They have Sundowner and she's kicking their butts and he's losing control. At that moment, Jason has an idea and tells KG Beast to fire off a flare, which he does. But as it fires over at Sundowner, she says that it isn't enough light. Solomon Grundy then grabs Sundowner, yelling, "No more! Leave my friends alone!" Jason asks if he's got another flare. If so, shoot it at Grundy. The flare hits Grundy in the back and he says, "Grundy burns!" And as Sundowner screams from the light, she reverts back to Hannah and Grundy holds her. "Woman is dead again." Jason tells everyone, "All right, let's get the hell out of here before we find out if they have any more surprises for us. And take Sundowner." As they step outside, all of Bloodhaven's police forces surround them, and they begin to shout for everyone to get to the ground. As all of the undead soldiers of Task Force Z begin to hiss, Jason tries to calm down both sides, stating, Whoa, let me handle this. If everyone lowers their weapons, we can talk this out. I just need to get my team out of here before we're all worked up. We don't need to cause any trouble." Just then, a small drone flies by with a microphone and begins to play a very specific tone. Everyone looks up asking what is it, and suddenly Bane begins to have a reaction to the sound, screaming, "Make it stop! What did you do to me?" Bane then charges through the police force and Jason says, "Screw it! Bane just created a distraction. Task Force Z, head to the van." After a short 20-minute drive, Jason pulls up in front of a very familiar warehouse where Arkham Knight almost killed him. And he sees Harvey Dent outside, telling them, Welcome home." Jason asks, Didn't you almost die here? And Harvey tells him, "Yes, and now I live. Isn't it wonderful?" Black Mask steps out asking, "Do you like the place that I got you?" And Jason is surprised. "What the hell is this? There's no way I'm staying in a place owned by this guy." Black Mask asks him, "Do you still think that you're one of the good guys?" Just then Zaz lunges out, pinning Black Mask to a wall, yelling, "Eat you!" Jason says that the zombies get a little cranky when they don't have their medicine. So Harvey says, "That reminds me, our rent." Black Mask tells him, "Fine, your rent's $8,000. And Harvey chimes in, "Wait, did I hear 2,000? Black Mask is shocked. "I would rather die than agree to that, Harvey." So Harvey turns. That also works. With the zombies going for Black Mask, he finally screams, "Fine, 2,000. And so a few hours later, the new chop shop is set up, with Harvey looking at Hannah asking what is it, and Amelia and Delia telling him that like the fisherman before, Sundowner has tiny amounts of the Lazarus resin stored in her tissue, and Hannah is only dead in the classical sense. The resin preserves the monster Sundowner, and the monster preserves the host body, but theoretically, they can extract the resin from Sundowner and use them. Harvey says that would kill the monster, but what about Hannah? And the twins tell him that she'll stay dead, and the undead team will get to fight another day. Maybe 2 days. Harvey then says there has to be something we can do for Hannah. But Jason tells him that there isn't, is there? The Hannah that we knew is gone. Harvey is talking about saving the thing inside of her so that he can use it. At every minute we're here looking for a solution, Bloom and Powers are growing more powerful. So this is what we do. Hannah would want to help. Without even asking anyone, Jason turns off the lights so that Sundowner comes out, and the machine begins to extract the resin stored in her body, transferring it to the others, allowing them to remain as zombies for a few days longer. Sundowner screams in pain, asking Jason to help her. But Jason says, "It's okay, Hannah. Rest now." Meanwhile, over at Powers International, Jerry storms into the lab yelling that this whole science project is over. He's been sneaking around and getting into restricted files but Bloom looks up. "Oh, those? I've seen them before anyway. Anyway, did you know that Dr. Archeon implanted chips into people's brains when he was working in their lab in Hungarian? When activated, you can play the right frequency and home they come. Free will be damned. Pretty evil stuff." Jerry pauses for a moment. "I know about the venom." And Bloom tells him, yes, you do. Nasty stuff, isn't it? A lot of blood is on your hands. But, full confession, I used it when I formed my own little team. I wanted a Bane of my own. But don't worry. It's not what they used that matters. It's who they used that should concern you. Jerry chimes in, dear God, who did you use it on? And Bloom opens up the door asking, why don't you ask him yourself? Outside, Bane sits in the rain, floating. Back at the old warehouse, Jason tosses and turns in his bed when he feels something on his face. He wakes up to pick up a yellow flower that was placed on him, and he gets dressed. But as he walks out asking if anyone is there, he could see something moving in the shadows. Bloom steps out telling him that he's sorry for disturbing his slumber. He is such a sweet sleeper, he almost hoped that he'd never wake. Jason lunges forward yelling for everyone to wake up, telling the twins and Copperhead to lock the lab up while everyone else meets him outside. But Copperhead says that he is inside. Seconds later, Jason throws himself into Bloom and out the window, slamming into the ground outside. He coughs as he tries to get up, but Bloom tells him that he doesn't seem as resilient as he once was. Rule of thumb! Don't go throwing yourself out a window if you can't! But almost as if on cue, Grundy throws himself out the window and lands on Bloom. Grundy resilient! Grundy steps off with Jason asking what was that? Are you giving me advice? Bloom laughs, telling him, it seems the shoe is on the other gigantic malformed rotting foot. I'm quite impressed that you keep finding new monsters to follow you off this cliff. You truly have a vile gift. Speaking of the devil, a man of words and not of deeds is like a garden full of weeds. And when the weeds begin to grow, it's like a garden full of snow. And when the snow begins to fall, it's like a bird upon a wall. As Bloom continues speaking in riddles, the others begin to speak it with him, and Jason is asking, what the hell did you do? As Madame Crow and KG Beast begin to try and grab Jason, Bloom tells them, at first I thought overriding their minds with my own would be gouch. But I have to say, seeing multiple me's in action really is a thrill. Delightful even. Jason then asks Grundy if he is him too, and Grundy tells him, Grundy is Grundy. Bloom goes on telling him that he didn't really come here to kill him. He actually wants to keep Jason alive. He never said this before, but you're like my best friend, Jason. Just don't tell Batman. But alas, watching your team nearly tear you into tiny bite-sized pieces has become quite a little fetish of mine over these last few weeks. Don't kink shame me! Grundy grabs Bloom by the neck, nearly punching his head off. Grundy kink shame Bloom to pieces! But as they fight, Jason begins to lose to the two of them when suddenly Amelia runs out with a taser, shocking KG Beast. KG Beast falls, but as he gets up, he asks, what happened? And Amelia asks if he's him again. Good! Bloom is playing off a form of memory replacement therapy that we developed. It doesn't handle electroshock neurodisruptions very well. Jason then kicks Madame Crow off, saying, good work, now fix Crow, and let's have a word with Bloom before Grundy beats him to death. As Grundy is punching Bloom once more, he is hit from behind by the van. Bloom jumps onto the roof of the van, telling him, so long, farewell, goodbye. And Jason asks, who is that driving? Amelia says that it must be Copperhead. Bloom must have gotten to him too, but Grundy gets up weakly. Don't worry, Grundy okay. At that moment, Harvey Dent runs out yelling, it wasn't just Copperhead, he took Dahlia. Jason pauses for a moment, thinking, asking, what is this mind game? Bloom obviously wasn't here to kill them. Since when did he start being able to make people believe that they were other people? Harvey says who knows what Powers is up to, but Jason stops him. No, Amelia said that you guys were working on a form of memory replacement therapy together, meaning you did it for Task Force Z. Who are you? Harvey turns to him. What are you talking about? And Jason grabs him. You let me bash Bane's brains in with a crowbar and throw him off of a roof. I had to swallow every feeling and emotion that I had to work beside a man that I thought killed the kindest person that I knew. A father figure to me. And then I killed him when I couldn't stand it anymore. And this whole time you knew. This whole time you knew that that wasn't actually Bane. And you just let him. Who was he? Harvey struggles to breathe. It was no one. It was just some random corpse that we found. He was a nobody. But later, over at Powers International, Bloom gets ready to pull the sheet off of that fake Bane, asking Amelia if she was worth the trouble. Amelia says that she is Delia, you idiot. And Bloom says, no, I'm going to call you Amelia instead. Bloom pulls the sheet back, stating, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Do you remember who you are, Sleeping Beauty? This Bane says that he does, and he sits up telling him, I remember all of it. I died, didn't I? Bloom says, tell me your name. The man says that his name is Henry Clover Jr. The man tells him, that's right. But we know you by your other name. Welcome back, Gotham. Your city needs you once more. Back at the warehouse, Jason shakes Harvey Dent, telling him, you've been lying to me this whole time. And Harvey yells at him, I never lied to you. Except about Bane. I never lied after Bane. Jason lets go, pushing him back. Why? And Harvey tells him that they needed a team that would intimidate people. You have to admit, our guy fit the bill. Jason grabs his newspaper and shows a picture of Bane flying through the air, telling him that their random guy that they were making him think is Bane might be more than he seems. But why? Why go to all the trouble to find some dead guy with superpowers to make me think that I was teamed up with the man that I hate? Harvey tells him, we studied your psychological profile. Of all the different motivating factors that we considered, personal responsibility, moral redemption, legal amnesty, and desire for power, the need to help others, none would be as effective on you as giving you revenge. I beat an innocent man's brains in. Who was he? They never told me who he was, Jason. Jason turns to him. I don't trust you anymore. I'm done with this. All of this. Task Force Z, Bloom played us. And now I'm going to end this my way. But only a few hours later at the Powers International building, Bloom begins to play the recording of Jason walking out on Harvey Dent. And Gotham tells him, this is trouble. Right? That's why we needed you to see it. These are the bad people. At that moment, there's an explosion and a costumed woman comes out asking, where is he? You are not the one that I was expecting. Really solid entrance, though, Bloom tells her. Gotham looks over to see his sister, Gotham Girl. Hey, sis. I can't believe it. It's really you. You look dead. I look really dead. Who did this to you? She looks over at Bloom, and Bloom puts his hands up. Easy now. I might look like a gangly floral-themed skeleton man, but, well, there is no but. Gotham Girl hugs Bloom. I don't know how you did it, but thank you for bringing my brother back. I'm not really into the physical contact with the living thing, actually. But before the happy reunions could begin, there's an alarm warning of an intruder, and Gotham Girl says, I probably should have used the door, huh? Bloom says that he doesn't think that those alarms are for her. But have no fear, Gothams. I am prepared for this. As Jason begins to beat down the Power security team in the lobby, Deadshot, along with Man-Bat, Arkham Knight, and Copperhead step out. Deadshot tells the security to run along. We've got this. Jason looks Deadshot in the face. And I was so sure that you were down for the last time, Deadshot. You know what they say, Red Hood. You can't keep a good man down. Turns out it's true about pieces of shit, too. Copperhead charges forward while Jason leaps over, bashing Arkham Knight and Man-Bat, asking Deadshot, can I convince you to walk away? Not from this, Red Hood. At that moment, Arkham Knight gets back up swinging. Okay, so what's your story? She just growls. Ha, you're barely there, huh? Then it makes shoving this electrified crowbar down your mouth so much easier. He turns back to Deadshot. You might want to think about running. And Deadshot fires a mini rocket at him, telling him, that's funny, coming from someone who has a life to lose. The rocket hits Jason in the chest, sending him flying back right into the body of Gotham. It was you, Jason says to him. You tried to kill me. You are a murderer, Red Hood. Jason jumps to his feet, cracking Gotham in the head with the crowbar. Gotham shrugs it off. With the powers of Superman, he looks down at Jason. You are a sick man. The two go back and forth with swings, and Jason tells them that Bloom has messed with his head. Gotham tells him, I remember being pushed off of a roof. That wasn't what you think it is, Gotham! Deadshot begins to open fire again. You know, I'm coming off great here. Damn it, Deadshot, this is between me and Bloom. Everyone stay out of my way! Jason shouts out. The blast from the rocket throws Jason again, but this time he aims himself at Man-Bat, knocking him into a spiked wall. And as Man-Bat is dying, I'm sorry. Jason gets back up, walking back to Deadshot, telling him, "You're the last thing in the way." But another voice chimes in, "No, I am," and Gotham Girl comes flying in with a punch of her own. Later underground, Zsasz tells Harvey, "Your plan sucks." And KG Beast tells her, "There has to be more to this than appearing under the building, right?" Harvey looks at them. "No, that's pretty much it." "We're going to die down here, aren't we?" At that moment, there's a booming sound and a large arm shoots out of the stone wall, grabbing Madame Crow. Zsasz and KG Beast begin to try and pry the arm off, but a second arm shoots through, punching a hole through Zsasz, while the other pops the head off of Madame Crow. Harvey tells KG Beast and Grundy that whatever comes through the wall, kill it. And Bloom walks through the wall in a bat suit. "Hello there!" New team leaves something to be desired, if I'm to be honest. Grundy gets ready to run in, but Bloom grabs him, pinning him to the wall. KG Beast points his gun just out of reach of Bloom. "You're gonna need longer arms to catch." But Bloom's fingers rapidly extend, jutting out, stabbing KG Beast in the head. "No, I'm gonna need longer fingers." Bloom turns back to Grundy, lifting him up, slamming him into the roof, telling him, "I would love to study you, if you are still alive after all of this." Grundy just hangs there as Bloom asks if he can wiggle his fingers if he's still alive. Or whatever he is, just a pinky. Harvey runs away, shooting back in hopes that it might do something, but Bloom reaches out. "Hey, you! We need to talk! Besides, weren't you coming to see me anyway? Don't run, Harvey!" A short while later, Harvey is groaning as he wakes up strapped to a table to see a Jason looking down at him and asking, "What are you doing?" Beside him, though, he realizes that the actual Red Hood is tied up. "Yeah, Harvey, that's not me. Weren't you supposed to not get caught?" Bloom says to them, "Come on now, no squabbling. Mr. Todd here, weird name by the way, Mr. Todd would have been a wonderful distraction for you if someone's butch little sister hadn't distracted him first. But our little play earlier with cameras was quite convincing. If I hadn't already force-fed a tracker into Grundy just in case you wanted to sneak up on me. As for the man in the armor, his name is Mr. Marsh, or it was. Now he's a corpse that thinks that he's the Red Hood. Run, right?" Jason looks at Bloom. "All I can see that you did is bring back a couple of bad guys from the dead and make billions for a company that held you prisoner for years. Not really something to be excited for, Bloom." Bloom opens up a case full of Lazarus resin. "Oh, this? The resin which I developed, and only I know the formula for. And now I have the only remaining samples of. But don't worry, after I've finished draining Powers International's bank account, I will kill you and be retiring to Borneo to live forever." Jason tells him that it sounds great, except for one problem. "I have a radio transmitter in the arm of my suit. Batman just heard the whole conversation." I don't exactly believe you, Jason. No, not at all." "Yeah, I don't care. The whole Justice League is gonna be here in about a minute." Mr. Marsh begins to press the buttons on Jason's arms. "I have no memory of a radio transmitter in here. There's just this switch that doesn't seem to do anything." Bloom yells out, "No, don't touch it!" But Mr. Marsh does, setting off an explosion on KG Beast and all the others that levels the entire first floor of Powers International. As the smoke clears at the Powers International headquarters, Bloom coughs, asking, "Did you really blow up my building while we're still inside of it?" Red Hood is obviously now free from his table. "It's over, Bloom. All your hard work and planning is about to be rubble. Most of my hard work was ruining your and Harvey's names, which is going to be great. The rest is here in this briefcase. The question now is, do you think that you can survive the building collapsing around us?" Grundy gets up shouting, "Grundy not be buried again!" And he charges at Bloom, knocking the briefcase out of his hands, sending the Lazarus resin flying into the rubble. Bloom tries to collect as many vials as he can, but Red Hood and the others jump onto Man-Bat's back to try and escape the falling building. But as several people hang on to Man-Bat for dear life, Jason realizes that this is a terrible idea. Man-Bat quickly begins to crash into the ground with the weight of everyone, hissing. Why couldn't you just let me rest in peace? Red Hood begins to say that he's sorry, but the giant P of Powers International crushes Man-Bat. And Red Hood tells him, well, that takes care of that. The others begin to get up, and Harvey tells him that they didn't have a choice, you know. What Bloom and Powers were doing wouldn't have ended. They had to be taken down. Red Hood looks at his former partner. Yeah, I know, but we didn't have to take ourselves down with them. Through the fiery wreckage, there's a scream as the undead Gotham, the man with the powers of Superman, bursts out, launching himself straight at Red Hood, having not resolved their issue earlier, only having been disposed of temporarily. The two begin to fly through buildings as Gotham is pushing him along, and Red Hood tells him, we don't have to do this! Neither of us want to hurt each other. You're wrong. I do want to hurt you, Red Hood. Grabbing a pen from one of the buildings, Red Hood jams it into Gotham's face, sending the two tumbling into the ground. While Gotham is already back on his feet, Red Hood picks himself up. Bloom played us. This isn't you. You're one of the good guys, right? Gotham then charges in. I remember what you did to me. You bashed my skull in and then you pushed me off a roof. Red Hood barely dodges the massive fist. They manipulated me into doing it. They made me think that you were the person who killed the best man that I've ever known. I miss Alfred every single day. Gotham pauses. Alfred is... No. Bane killed Alfred. These memories, they used their pain against me. And Red Hood looks at Gotham. Not they. Him! He points at Bloom, blaming everything Gotham is going through on Bloom himself. As Gotham turns his attention towards Bloom, Bloom can only say, oh, this seems bad. Would it help if I said that I did it mostly for my own amusement? Actually, forget that part. Gotham begins to rip apart Bloom's giant bat suit, and once the skeleton man of Bloom is freed, he takes out a small device, pressing a button, which makes Gotham step back in pain. Gotham grabs his head. What are you doing? Did you really think that I would make a weapon that could be used against me? At that moment, Claire, Gotham Girl, shoots through the fire, yelling, stay away from my brother! And Bloom holds up the device. If you come any closer to me, I will pop your brother's head like a zit. Jason jumps to his feet, swinging the large pole that he's holding, cracking Bloom in the face. It's me you wanted, right? Well, here I am. Bloom screams, punching back, asking, do you know how undignified it is to have the greatest mind in this generation getting hit in the head with a pipe? Bloom closes in, and Red Hood asks, is that so? Gonna kill me and walk away? Leave everyone else alone? No, your death will have no impact at all. Also, I'm not gonna be the one killing you. At that moment, there's a click as Two-Face holds his gun to the back of Red Hood's head. He's gonna be doing the killing. I had a chance to poke around in your partner's head before you blew up the building. Turns out boring old Harvey Dent was just barely stopping this fun guy from being free. I just gave Two-Face a little nudge. Red Hood looks at Bloom in the face. You're not as smart as you think. Batman's gonna stop you. Maybe, but he'll never find out, will he? Two-Face then chimes in. Hey kid, duck. Red Hood pulls his head down as Two-Face begins to shoot Bloom. Are you pretty sure that's gonna be enough? But at that moment, there's a blue blur as Gotham grabs the now corpse of Bloom. He will pay for what he's done, and the remains of Bloom chime in. I'd rather not! And the two rocket into the sky. Seconds later, Gotham lands, and Red Hood asks, so where's Bloom? You don't have to worry about him anymore. Claire picks up the remaining resin and looks to her brother. Look what I found. Should be enough to make you whole again. I don't want it. Jason tells them that they're going to need to start taking it, otherwise in a few days it'll wear off and Gotham will die again. I know. I spent the last few years of my life dying at the hands of these scientists. I'm ready to live on my own, even if it's just for a little while. Claire wipes the tears from her eyes and tosses the briefcase, and the two fly off to live Gotham's last days. As he watches the two of them leave, Red Hood says that he wonders what's going to happen to Jerry Powers. And Harvey chimes back in. If I know how the legal system works, nothing at all. Soon the sirens can be heard from the arriving police. And Harvey tells him, well, that's my cue to leave. Don't you still have mistakes you want to answer for? I do. The former DA in me hates to admit it. But I still can do more good in the world out there than locked in a cell. And I believe in you, Jason Todd. Red Hood begins to slip away through the smoke. Good luck, Harvey. And thank you.
But as Red Hood is gone, we see that it really wasn't Harvey there in the end. As Two-Face grabs the briefcase.
No, thank you, Red Hood.
Later in the morgue, the two doctors begin to look over the bodies of the recently revived villains to log them when they are suddenly shot. A needle begins to inject Madame Crow, Deadshot, Zaz, KG Beast, Arkham Knight, and finally Copperhead with the remaining Lazarus resin. As the bodies begin to shuffle back to life, Two-Face smiles.
Welcome back. No more of this zombie crap. That resin has kept me alive for a very long time. But instead I've brought you all back. By my math, this means you all owe me your lives. So get up, because I got some plans for us.
And there you have it, today's full story. I hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell right here on this channel, as it will only ever be receiving full stories from the other channel. And if you want to see the videos as they come out, make sure you go check out the Comicstorian main channel, where you get 5 days of videos a week. I'll see you next time.